You wouldn't believe how much money I paid for this Minecraft map. Stay tuned to find out. Feel free to let me know what you think in the comments. It's going to be impossible to show you everything without making an hour-long video, so I hope to capture as much as I can in a reasonable amount of time. Stay tuned to find out who made this map and what the map is going to be used for. You just might be able to see this in-game. On a side note, my animated series may or may not be related to this map. You'll have to stay tuned to find out. To give some quick context, I made this map in Incarnate before sending it to the map maker. I provided a short description for each region detailing what I wanted to include. With that said, let's start with the first region. For this region, I was more focused on the shoreline having these massive cliffs and occasional beaches. My reference here were the Normandy cliffs that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. I didn't ask for much, especially for the terrain further inland. All I asked for were rock formations to dot the landscape. This was definitely an area that the map maker took into their own hands, and I must say, I'm absolutely in love with it. One of my favorite locations is this long beach enveloped by the cliffs. It kind of reminds me of the location for the battle in Ridley Scott's film Robin Hood, or is it just me? What kind of culture, race, or community do you see developing here? Let me know. Quickly moving on, we're going a little further north into this region. For this region, I had asked for a lake and flowered plains with flowing rivers to be surrounded by mountains. I basically wanted this area to feel almost like a safe haven for the people who live here. You have beautiful mountains, a lush flower valley with a light forest, a large lake, and multiple rivers leading to the ocean. I originally asked for smaller lakes to be within the mountains with waterfalls leading to the rivers. I also wanted the rivers to be more like thin streams that eventually grow larger as it nears the ocean, which neither quite came out the way I wanted, but I'm not upset with the final result. It's something that we could easily edit. What are your thoughts? To the west of this region, you'll find the jungle and the swamp. I didn't give the map maker much detail for these regions, so I mostly left it in their hands. One thing that the map maker did create was two different waterways cutting into the jungle, which I absolutely love. The jungle features both open air and dense forest locations with trees of varying height. And as for the swamp, not only are there beautiful mushrooms and willow trees, but the map maker added these massive dead trees. Do you think they feel out of place? I kind of like them. I think it gives a good opportunity for storytelling. Traveling north, we enter this region. The main reference that I had for this region was Kattegat from the series Vikings. I love the fjords with level ground at the end of the river, which is perfect for a city. With that reference in mind, I think the map maker absolutely nailed this request. I couldn't find anything that I would want to change here. I can definitely see a Nordic community settling in this region, but what do you think that they should be called? Going east now into the rolling hills and the great plains of this world. The only reference I gave the map maker for these regions are the locations and densities of the forests. Other than that, it was really all in their hands. They made these random dirt mounds that I wasn't so sure about, but a friend of mine convinced me to keep them. I still don't know how I feel about them. As you travel across these regions, you could see the beautiful plains as the climate changes. I love the transition of spruce trees in the west to different types of oak trees in the east. Parts of this region have rolling hills while others are extremely level, and this continues around and south of the mountain range. I could picture a wide variety of cultures settling these areas, but who could they be? Back near the first region that we looked at, there's a small region which is more of a buffer between the lush lands to the west and the desert to the east. I didn't have much for the map makers, so again, they made it from what they thought was best. And for such a small region, I think they absolutely nailed it. But what kind of race or culture would live here? Following the mountain chain east, we find ourselves in the desert. I absolutely love the transition the map maker did for the mountain range separating the grasslands and the desert. Once you cross, you would quickly find yourself in search of water as you pass large skulls of former beasts. Don't fall into the chasm, but if you follow it, you just might find the oasis. This was literally the only thing that I requested here. The desert was possibly the largest space they had to make whatever they wanted. I love that you could actually get lost in the vast openness of the sand dunes as you grow ever closer to collapse. I did request some rock formations on the eastern side of the desert, which was in transition to the eventual mesa biome. I wasn't sure how I felt about the map maker's decision to make it almost symmetric, but nonetheless, I am pleased with it. In such harsh conditions, what kind of creatures would dwell here? And who would seize control of the oasis? Near the desert, you'll find some islands. One has a mesa biome, while the other has mushrooms. I'm beginning to have a trend here, but again, I left it all to the map maker. The only thing I requested were these cool archways in the mesa. I don't know why, but I love them so much. The mushroom islands feature a variety of mushroom spores and even some cliffs. I could see some strange folk living here with the fungus. Going back to the mainland, we enter the Sahara. The Sahara is broken into two regions. This southern region features rolling hills and this strange formation that I didn't really ask for. Not to say that I'm unhappy with it, because again, it makes for good storytelling, but what could it be used for? Going further north, you come across chasms that cut through the land. I could see a party of travelers using this as a shortcut, only to be ambushed from above. When you eventually make your way north, you will find a massive crater. What could have caused this, and where has it gone? It looks like something crawled out and into the chasms. Before we go further north, let's look on the other side of these mountains that separate the Sahara and the Redwoods. The Redwoods is a region that's similar to the jungle and the plains. I requested specific locations and densities for the forest. Although, when I got the map, it seemed like the entire region was filled all the same, rather than having some open air and sporadic locations. And I'm actually not upset with this. I want there to be a sort of forest people living here, and having blanket coverage of trees allows them to move freely. I also requested a god tree to be in the forest, although the map maker said they couldn't do that, so we'll have to make one on our own. Be sure to subscribe because I'll eventually feature that build along with the city that goes here. Speaking of featuring builds, this map will be the new home for all of my future builds. Each region that you see will have at least 1 to 2 cities with even more smaller villages. Each build will have a time-lapse video featuring a detailed story on the lore of each location. Not only will this world feature most of my content going forward, but it will also serve a bigger purpose that I'll announce soon. You can stay up to date with that by watching my animated series. Subscribe and follow along because you'll have a chance to incorporate your ideas. You just might also be able to build alongside me. Look forward for more to come. Back to the map. You can see a spruce forest form as you pass north of the mountains. As you go further east, you come across a new region with a dense forest. The idea for this region was to give the false feeling of safety. You find yourself in the lush rolling hills with beautiful landscape, but the forest draws you in. As you dwell deeper into the forest, you eventually lose your sense of direction. The dense forest blocks out sunlight above, and in some parts you're forced to crawl and even squeeze past some trees. Creatures stir here with the protection from the sun. If you're brave enough, you could eventually test your skills within this forest. Once you actually emerge from the forest, you start to see dead trees. I requested the map maker to have dead trees and an overall landscape that gives a feeling of death. Nothing grows here, and all that you would find is evil. I wasn't expecting the massive dead trees or the crystals, but I am so happy that the map maker put these in. Only thing that I would change is that I would copy and paste more of the crystals in and around the landscape. Traveling further north, you enter the fiery volcanic terrain. All I asked for were volcanoes, which is exactly what I got. What sort of architecture would you find here? I'm curious to know what sort of ideas that you guys might have. Before going into the snow and the ice-covered landscape, I want to thank the map maker for all the hard work that they put in to make this map come alive. You can find their details in the description below if you wish to see more of the maps that they've made, or even if you want to commission them for your own map. Crossing the waters, you'll see a lonely mountain. You might be able to guess the reference for this one, though I wish the mountain was a little more majestic or ominous. If you go north across the snow-covered hills, you'll find the glaciers. Here, I hope to find a way to incorporate some type of creature domain or even some builds. But what do you think could go in a glacier biome? Just outside the glaciers is some of the coolest landscape in the north. I originally asked for caverns similar to the ones you can find in the savannah, but I'm so happy with how these turned out. Further west, you'll cross snowy plains until you come across a mountain range. I wanted this mountain range to eventually turn to ice the further north that you travel. Here, I wanted the map maker to have ice spikes and frozen mountains to bring out the harsh climate of the frozen north. Similar to the desert, I see this place as an extremely difficult place to live, but some things might find a way. I look forward to building here since I've never taken on a challenge that I'd face in this biome. As we approach the last region of the map, we have rolling hills covered in snow with occasional forests and rocks, which is all I asked for. This place feels like another barren landscape that is easy to get lost in, similar to the desert. I love the emptiness of the land. Sometimes less is better. I paid $1,000 for this custom Minecraft map, but was it worth it? Again, it's impossible to show everything off in one video, so I hope that you subscribe for more. You just might be able to join in on this project both in-game and through the comments section. Huge thank you to the map maker again. Be sure to check them out in the description below. I hope that you all enjoyed, and I hope that you all look forward to more.